ace-9, like, we're just suiciding against, like, the ace-king, but he's supposed to, you know, have calls with this shit. And it allows us to also have bluffs as well, right? So, like, we go 3 streets with our 10s here, and he's folding kings, jacks, becoming a different with queens. Yeah, but it's like, when you think about it, right, it, like, makes a ton of sense why we wanna play this way. We just, like, lack a middling region that we want to escort to showdown, so it's like we have hands that wanna put the money in, and then by just starting to put the money in ourselves, it allows us to have bluffs instead of just being in bluff catch mode. And then, like, right, we're easily assuming people are just gonna, like, range bet here. So then once you play raise or fold, now all of a sudden, like, right, they just have, like, way more shit that's folding. People are gonna, like, struggle if they're betting, like, all their 10s and 9s, jacks, kings. And you go for the check raise. And then again, just kind of start barreling at people super aggro. And, like, if you look at, like, some of these low boards, you'll kind of see some of the stuff I was saying about, like, protection. Like, we check, they bet small, and you'll see, like, 9s is just, like, ripping it in, 10s is just ripping it in. Ace-8 a good amount of the time. And you'll see it uses some small bet, but really, like, yeah, like, it likes to jam, and that's where, like, most of the betting volume is going through, I think. Um, and we know that these hands are really, like, based around protection, so in terms of, like, right, me developing, like, my strategy the way I want to play, I probably don't really use the min raise and just use, like, jam or call. Yeah, you see, like, the 10s are jamming, 9s jamming, like, ace-9 with the flush draw, um, ripping it in, ace-queen with the flush draw, king-queen with the flush draw. Right, like queen-10, like, a lot of flush draw getting in there. 7-6, just ripping it, kinda insane. Yeah, I'm gonna bet, like 75. Yeah, for sure. Like, if we pull up, let me see what this one is. Yeah, I'm gonna grab a drink real quick, I'll be right back. You back? So like the A6 deuce here, yeah, I'm playing a 75 on it, and like expecting expecting it to be constructed with like going to be heavily based around like the immediate over pairs. They really want protection, like pocket nines, pocket tens, jacks, and it'll probably like ladder off like right nines and tens will be betting like a fuck ton like all the time, and then it'll like roll off to lower frequencies, and like aces will be checking a bunch, right? Because aces doesn't really need protection or anything. Um, then like the 8x will be betting linearly, I think, like ace 8 quite a bit, and like roll off as the like absolute strength of the 8 decreases. All the sets I expect will be betting a lot, um, if not like all the time. I think like a good amount of like 7x stuff will get in there, especially like, gutty shit, right? Because there's going to be like 9 7, 10 7. I think like Jack 7 will be getting in there. Um, don't really think like the low pairs. I think some of like the low ace X um, is going to be betting a lot. Not sure about the suited ones. Maybe like ace 3, ace 4 with a backdoor flush draw. And then we're going to be seeing bluffs from like the immediate overcard stuff. So like 10 9, Jack 9, Jack 10, Queen 9, Queen 10. And then I think it'll kind of like roll off as it moves like higher, right? Like I think 10 9 will be betting more than Jack 10, which I think will be betting more than Queen Jack, which I think will be betting more than like King Queen and shit, and like Ace King, Ace Queen, probably having some bets because he's probably supposed to call some worse Ace X. But I think will be mostly on the check. Like I think a lot of like the higher Ace High stuff will mostly be on the check. Going back to like the same reasons that we're talking about before, right? Like we could check back the Ace King, and then when the turn comes an Ace and he has Ace 4, now like we have a hand that like we could just get solid value against that's like gonna fold when we bet flop a decent amount of the time. Whereas like when we bet our Ace 4-0 here, Ace 3-0, we could turn a straight draw, and we also get him to fold better Ace X. Like he's gonna fold like Ace Jack O and shit. So then when we turn an ace, it's just higher equity for us, right? Because he like folded better Ace X hands. So then like right, this kind of goes back to the idea of like how we are um, playing, and like right, like how we're setting up the situation where like by betting our ace 4 we're getting him to fold better ace X, so then when the ace comes like we're going to win more likely. Whereas like if somebody's like, oh man, I just have like this ace 4 off, I'm going to check it back, and then the turn comes an ace, and then they lose to ace jack, and they're just like, man, I'm always so unlucky, like. But it's like, yeah, but like in reality maybe it's tied to, how you're making your strategy and shit like that. Yeah, so you see like these low ace X just on blast, and then these guys checking back a bunch. Yeah. Yeah, because like when we bet like our 10-9 and shit like that, he's gonna be folding better 9 and 10x. So then when the turn brings 9 or 10x, it's just gonna be cleaner. Similarly with like the Jack X, Queen X, etc. So we're really focused around like um outdrawing top pair, basically. So like we bet, and we're betting a size that causes him to like fold these overcards. And so his range becomes more constructed around top pair and stuff. Yeah, like the idea of like cleansing your equity and stuff. Yeah, see if you go like bet, call, turn is a 10. Like all of our 10x just on Mega Blast. And then like look how much of our range is just on Mega Blast because right once we bet, all of this stuff within his range folded. So when this card comes, our value region is greatly expanded. And because our value region is large, our bluffing region is large, right? Because we have so many value hands, we're able to have a lot of bluffs. So we're like our whole range is just able to blast a ton because we have all this 10x that hit and we still have like all these over pairs and shit. And we have like all these sets that we're barreling. Yeah, it's going, yeah, this is 150 here. Um, I think in practice, just going like 75 or pot is probably cool here. Like pot would probably work pretty nice. Um, but then, yeah, you kind of see, like if we look at the barrels for us, like you can see on the lower cards, um, we have a lot more checks, right? Because the way our range is constructed, right? Like on the flop here, we're betting like all these over pairs, right? Like these higher ones are checking, but like most of these guys are just like blasting off, betting a bunch of top pair, betting like a bunch of overcard shit. Um and like shitty ace X. You'll see like right a bunch of like the shitty king X and queen X. Like look how much these guys just like barrel flop. Like just see bet the flop, right? Just go bang and just make him fold better king X and queen X and clean up our equity. So right, so then on the turn, once it's one of those lower cards, like our range isn't really constructed around these. So now we have to start checking a lot more, right? But on all these like immediate over cards, where so much of our bluffing region is concentrated, when any of them hit, we just get to like fucking blast off. So like on this 10, just fucking blast in on the jack here, just mega blast. Like all your jack X, right? Like you're able to just barrel your jack 4 here and shit. Because he's just so thin and all that, and he still just has to be calling you with like all this 8x. Like, it's kind of wild. Like your nines are able to barrel here, right? Your tens are able to barrel here because he just has like fuck all, right? Like so because of right the way the flop strategy is designed, getting him to just like fold shit that connects with these overcards, like we're able to just barrel like these over pairs to second pair, right? Like, but it's still under the top pair. We're just able to like barrel with him because like his range just doesn't interact with it. And we just mega blast, and then he just has to fold a bunch of stuff. Well, we do see bet often, 60%, right? And like if we look at what's going on here, equities up top pretty close with like both of us having sets. So like our advantage really comes in at like the over pairs. Um So if you look at how we construct like sets blast, two pair blast, right? The laddering effect with the overpairs. This is pretty common, right? Because like um we get protection with these, right? Because like we bet our nines and he's folding right the queen 10 and all that type of shit. So then when the 10 comes, like we're still just barreling our nines because he doesn't have a 10. Um, and like aces is able to just check because it doesn't need protection. So it's able to generate EV by just checking here and letting them bet into us on turn. And then we're just like linear with top pair, like ace eight all the time, and then just kind of like roll off according to like the hand strength. A little bit of the under pair. I'm more just on the check with that shit. Um, yeah, and then in these spots, you'll kind of see this happen too, where we're able to be betting some of the second pair, especially like the second pair top kicker. You'll see it like falls off much faster than the top pair. And then betting some of the bottom pair stuff, right? Because like we're able to bet these and get like better shit to fold now, and also able to improve. And we're blocking like twos and stuff. Barreling gutties, having some checkbacks. Decent amount of check back with some of these open enders as well. Just mega blast the flush draw. Combo draws on blast, and then like if we look at our nothing no draw, like right, we see that it's like centered around like the immediate overcard stuff, and then like the lower queen X, king X, jack X, right? Like we could bet our jack five, and he folds king jack offsuit. So it's like boom, like that shit's starting to fold. Ace jack offsuit starting to fold. Queen jack offsuit. So he calls. Turn comes jack, and we just keep blasting jack five. So it's like yeah, once we're like polar on flop, and then a card comes that just like hits us super hard, we're able to just blast away. Yeah, for sure. Like let's see, 7, 9. Geez, none of these are connected. Let's see here. 8, 6, 5. Yeah, so like this is going to be different because with the connected nature of the board, like the overcards are just like they matter less, right? So the range isn't going to be as like built as heavily around that. It probably won't be like barreling as heavily just on some overs. So like here's with 50%. You can see that we definitely check a lot more compared to the other board, right? Other board we're betting 60% of the time with a 75% sizing. There are sometimes because like when we bet, he's supposed to be calling with worse ace X. So sometimes you'll see it in these spots. Because he calls this stuff and it like gets to deny equity. Because like if he has to fold like 9x, right? Like Now, when a 7 hits, it matters less to us. Stuff like that. Some of these things can be like kind of hard to find and like figure out. Like some of these suited ones are a bit easier, right? Where it's like betting the flush draw and shit. But then you see like the ace king here, it's like reversed and it's like betting the hearts. It's because it gets called by like the flush draw version all the time. So like the ace king rather bet with the hearts because then it unblocks um, any like king high flush draw that has to call and all the ace high flush draws that call. And then like the lower ones are betting more flush draw, I guess. See some of these low king X, queen X, interesting. Of course, the 7X is up in there. See the 8X at some frequency. Ace 8 a lot. Immediate over pairs more, like the 9s all the time, 10s, and then it just like falls off faster than the other board. There's still like a decent amount of like this 10X and shit. And it looks like this offsuit stuff, it's kind of like have spade is good, like have the suit on the board, we want that. Yeah. So then it's like, looking at this stuff, it's like that's kind of more like what I would do in game, right? It's just like we could see looking at like the offsuit shit, having spade is good. So I'd just be more like bet with a spade and check more without and stuff. And just use that type of stuff for easier construction. I guess like the queen jack, queen 10 folding king queen, ace jack, queen jack, folding some pairs. I think it's like similar logic still with how it's choosing to go about it. It's just like not like as dense here as it becomes connected and it's going with like a slightly smaller size. Because now like we have like all this 7X stuff that's just super interested in betting and can improve to like a stronger hand than a jack. Because like if we get a jack, we bet. What happens if we get raised? Yeah, pretty whack spot. We're able to barrel a fuck ton though. Yeah, these ones are flush draw. All the jack ones. Okay, that's pair plus 10-7. So these ones are like starting to become indifferent without the flush draw. 9-7 because, well, I guess if we hit like a 10 or something, I don't know. Maybe if it's like a 4, then we make like the super nuts. What do you mean? No. Well, with the diamonds, I think the difference there is like it's the backdoor flush draw. So that's always going to be related to it somehow when that shit's there. There's like some sort of property related to like the backdoor flush draw and like blocking it or not and stuff. Because then you can see like the 9-7 of hearts and clubs are like basically the same shit. Yeah, like if we, I don't know. Yeah, we get to barrel quite a lot here though. Interesting. Be wrecking them. All right, I'm gonna take off. Yeah, no problem. I'll catch you guys later. Have a good one.